Welcome to the Rated Gen Z podcast, Danielle. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I love the fact that we've actually met in
Yeah.
person, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
great. And I would love to first off congratulate you on graduating from
Thank
UCLA.
you. Thank you.
When was the actual graduation?
It's coming up. It's this Saturday, so
Oh, okay.
almost. Pretty close.
Almost.
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't tell because I know that you had posted on Instagram and you guys had your gowns and it was
Yes, and the
such a
sashes and all of
yeah.
that
So I,
stuff.
I I
Yeah.
didn't know. Okay, all right. So it's coming up. How do you feel?
It's crazy. I feel like my mom always was like, "Oh, 4 years is gonna go by really fast, Danielle." I feel like I was just that 17-year-old in high school. Now I'm 21, about to graduate. It's crazy to see how far everyone has come in my class. And honestly, I'm really grateful that I had the opportunity to be here, be a Bruin, and just
Yeah.
honestly make the most of my time here.
Yeah, I mean, I wish back when I was at UCLA that I really kind of understood these, like just the gravity of going to a school like UCLA.
Yes.
Obviously, it was a great school at the time. But now it's just got even more notoriety, I feel like, because
100%.
especially right now with the sports, with the
Oh,
athletics
yeah.
department at UCLA, I mean, like every sport there is like top notch. I actually, one of my best friends, my roommate at UCLA, Danica, her daughter is going in the fall and she's going to be on the rowing team.
No way. Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
I know. So
Congratulations to
she's,
her.
yeah, so it's a big deal because we're trying to explain to her, we're like, girl, not only are you going to be an athlete at UCLA, but like
You're
you're going
going
to
to
be
one of the best schools,
surrounded by
best
literally like
universities.
Olympians.
Literally insane. Insane.
Yeah, and then not just that, the academics.
Oh, yeah. It's such a
So
well-rounded school, honestly.
yeah, I mean, isn't it still? I think every year it gets voted the number one public university in the
Yes.
country.
Right now, I think Berkeley has us beat.
Oh
Of course, the
my.
last year I'm here, Berkeley has us beat, but we'll get that number one spot again
Yes,
soon.
but we
Yeah.
were holding it for a
For a
while.
while, yes.
Yeah, so, I would love to kind of explain like how we met because it also I
Yeah,
think lends to the
absolutely.
fact that here I'm talking about that I went to UCLA and you're
Yes.
graduating and never got to graduate, and a lot has to do with what you're doing with mental health and everything. So you and I met at an event at UCLA. Was it a couple months ago?
Yeah, yeah. It was in winter quarter. Yeah.
Okay, and it was the Friends of Semmel Institute, which they are the Neuroscience and Human Behavioral Institute at UCLA,
Yeah.
very well known.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I had the opportunity to moderate a panel with young teens that were talking about podcasting, but also how they incorporate like mental health research because they were working with AIM, which is another nonprofit. And so you were there in the little room as an audience member,
Yes, I
maybe.
was.
Yes, and I, shared very briefly about my story because obviously it was about the teens. It wasn't about me, but I had to share that it was a very full circle moment for me because it had been 30 years since I had been on that campus like that. And the last time I had been on campus, it was a very dark time for me. I had suffered from depression. I had a failed suicide attempt. So I never actually graduated. And I was probably 20 at the time. I can't, it's such a blur, Danielle. Like to this day, I don't know what year it was, what month, how old I was. Anyways, you had come up to me, and I would love for you to like share why you were there and why this is so important to you. Because, yeah, I think this is just like such a great conversation,
Yes,
for us to have.
absolutely. Yes. It was such an amazing event and great to hear a little bit about your story when you were at the panel. It really spoke to me because like I said, I'm a UCLA student about to graduate fourth year. But what really sparked my interest in mental health advocacy and using my platform in social media to highlight this is that I did lose my friend to suicide last year in fall quarter. And when I heard that you had also had an attempt in your around the same time at
Mhm.
20, he was also 20. It really did show me some kind of connection. It really spoke to me. So I instantly wanted to come up to you, talk to you, and hear your story, because amplifying our voices and making people feel like they're not alone and that they are not the only one who has gone through this road is so important. And it's been so amazing to see your successes after your journey and after everything that you've been through. And I can say that as a member of Gen Z, it's amazing to see. It's so encouraging, it's uplifting. And that's why I think exploring different generations and their experiences with mental health is so important. And I am so proud of my generation, Gen Z, for being brave and
Yeah.
being more open to be honest in comparison to maybe conversations that I would have with people across different generations. And I'm hoping that we just get increasingly more honest with younger generations, and that just becomes a part of life.
Yeah.
I feel like something that I have been exploring is how can we make simple changes and use those simple changes to create dialogue and start honest conversation. So something that I have been trying to advocate for and create a small change, but I believe it's a ripple effect,
Hmm.
is with how are you. I feel like with how are you, it's so easy to reflex into I'm good, I'm
I'm
fine.
fine.
But are you really good? Are you really fine? I feel like that is an interesting thing to think about, because personally for me, I might say that, but I might not really be having good. I might be having a really bad
Yeah.
day. And I think by sharing how you're truly doing, I'm not having that great of a day, XYZ, XYZ. Challenging yourself to go beyond that is such a beautiful thing, because honesty is beautiful and it creates that vulnerability, because by you sharing that, it allows someone else to feel a little bit more comfortable with saying, okay, like I'm also not having a good day. Maybe I can be a little bit more honest and reach out with your hand, walk through that journey together, rather than like bottling that in, saying, like, I'm good, I'm fine. And I
Yeah.
think it's so important to challenge yourself. So I've been kind of challenging my friends with saying, even if you are good, maybe use a different word, use a
Yeah.
different terminology instead of I'm good, I'm fine. And it's kind of created this ripple effect. And I'm really hoping to change the climate, the culture of UCLA with that, and honestly just spark more dialogue, more conversations, more honesty. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting that you just mentioned the how are you and the whole I'm fine thing, because I actually wrote a newsletter. And I've started writing like now on Substack, sharing
Oh
what I'm
yeah.
learning by talking to your generation. Um, and one of the things that I wrote about is the difference in generations now with how, when you ask, how are you? Because when we were asked how are you, it's like I'm fine, and then you move on, because we were
Mm-hmm.
taught to be like, you don't air your dirty
No.
laundry, you don't share how you feel, like just keep moving forward, right? Like I'm not going to burden anyone with how I actually feel. And so it's a very different thing for especially Gen X. We grew up kind of like, you got to fend for yourself, because a lot of the parents were working jobs. That's why we're called the latchkey generation, because a
Yes.
lot of us had to like raise ourselves. Like I kind of raised myself too, to be honest, for lots of reasons. And that's, part of kind of my story and why, I deal with a lot of things. But with that, I just wanted to talk about how your generation, you guys are much more honest. That's something that I am discovering too, that you guys are more willing to just kind of be open about how you feel. But with the how are you, I think what's happening with your generation is that when you're not okay, it's not so much that you don't want to be honest about it. I think the difference is if I'm sharing like how I actually feel in this moment and I'm not okay, if I'm sharing that with this person, is this person not going to judge me? Is this person going to provide
Mm.
a safe
That safe
space
space.
for me
Yeah.
to continue to talk? And I think that's what's happening a lot with your generation is it's that trust of like, all right, especially if it's an adult. If an adult is asking that, they might be like, okay, what is this adult going to do with it? Again, are they going to try to give me advice? Are they going to try to
Yeah.
shame me? Are they going to try to tell me like, oh, like we've all experienced it. Like, are they going to not validate how I feel? And I'm discovering that it's more about that. It's more about the person who's asking you the question. If you're asking this question, then be prepared to sit with whatever answer you are given.
Absolutely. Yes.
And I think
Don't
so it
have
goes
that
both
expectation
ways.
of just, I'm good, I'm fine, but be able to have that safe space and sit and listen and take that in. You don't have to fix them, you don't have to give advice, but just being there, I feel like is so important. It can make such
Yeah.
a difference.
Yeah, the venting piece. Because that's when I ask, how are you? I have to acknowledge, like, Raquel, if you're going to ask this person, how are you, and they actually tell you they're not okay, like, be
Be
prepared
prepared.
to be there for them. And so I'm getting better at that. Like, so even when I go get my coffee and I ask the barista, how are you? If they're like, I'm having a crappy day, then I want to be able to say, like, oh gosh, please, like, what's going on? Or just let them know that they can vent. And a lot of times they'll just vent
Yeah.
and then they'll literally say, gosh, I feel so much better. Thanks.
Right? It just takes a weight off of
Yeah.
your shoulder that you don't initially realize it's going to do, but it makes such a
And like
difference.
you said, it's really simple. It's really
It
not a
really
difficult
is.
thing.
It's the little things that go such a long way, especially with mental health. Therapy and seeking help from mental health professionals is amazing. I mean, I'm pursuing that myself, but I believe with your community, that's where real change happens
Yeah.
by creating that ripple effect.
So then, yeah, so
Starting.
then talk about how you are helping the UCLA community with that and what you guys have started and what you're doing with that, because I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. So last year, like I said, my best friend did pass away by suicide, and it had a big impact on the community. He was a new student advisor, so he would welcome in thousands of new students, very well known, loved across campus, very bubbly, amazing personality. I feel like, you know, how some people might say, oh, that person is like star quality. I had never met someone like that until I met him. I'm like, okay, now I know what star quality
Or
is.
the
And I would
it
tell him that all
factor.
the time. I'm like, you have the
Yeah.
it factor. I
Yeah.
didn't know what that was before, but he just had that. He had this magnetic effect. So I feel like because of that, that loss was felt beyond just his immediate friend circle, his close friends. It was felt among new students that had just came into UCLA, professors, just everyone that he had known and talked to. So because of that and my work in mental health, before that I had been doing mental health work since like 2022, like the last 4 years. I wanted to use my clinical expertise to make a difference and
Mhm.
advocate and create awareness. So, a group of me and a few other mutual friends of my friend who passed away, we started a mental health awareness event. It was called Bruins, Supporting Bruins. And we created a social media campaign. It was called the Trust Fall Challenge. So you would fall down and someone would catch you like a trust fall and like tag a few other people just to create that dialogue and talk about your mental health. And you would add like a little, you know, sentence or whatever
Yeah.
you want to say about your mental health. Kind of, I guess, similar to the ice bucket challenge, but actually a little bit more metaphorically, like
Right.
leaning on
Leaning on
someone
someone.
catching
Yeah.
you. Yeah. So that's kind of why we decided to do that. And we did a whole event last year in honor of that and to promote mental health awareness. So we had a lot of amazing speakers. We had Patrick Hill, who was a former NFL player, but he's a psychiatric nurse at UCLA now, which
Oh,
was
wow.
awesome. So he was able to give his experience with male mental health, with professionally, of course, he was an athlete and then transitioned into a career that is predominantly female and
Yeah.
might have a little bit more of, you know, a stereotype and
Stereotyping.
some stigma for men. So
Yeah.
that was really interesting to have him as a speaker. We also had my friend who passed away, his mom came to speak,
Mm.
and she shared her expertise and experience because she's also a mental health professional. So she was able to
Oh,
talk
wow.
about her experience with that and
Which
with
let me, I mean, let's talk about just really briefly because I'm sure people are like, okay, this guy on the outside, clearly, I'm sure everyone thought like he had it all and was put together. And then you have a parent who's in the mental health field. I want to touch upon that a little bit, like
yeah,
when we
absolutely.
can, because I feel like that's where people are always struggling to kind of
Yes.
see the signs or how do you help or any
Yeah.
of that. So I would love to touch upon that one when you get a chance. But continue to
Yeah.
share the event, please.
Yes, yes, yes. So we had a lot of amazing speakers there. Again, his mom was there. I spoke as well. We also had a representative from NAMI, West Side LA, Elizabeth Stevens, which was
Which
incredible.
congratulations on your leadership award.
Oh, thank
Leadership
you.
award from NAMI too.
Yes, I can touch on that a little bit later
Yes, yes,
too.
yes.
But thank you so much. So we had a great turnout too. We had hundreds and hundreds of students. One of the biggest turnouts for a mental health awareness event
Nice.
ever at UCLA. Lots of clinicians from CAPS came as
Okay.
well. Representatives from our local psychiatric hospital, Resnick, came as well. And I was so lucky to get the support, honestly, from the community. It was beautiful to see people come together from Resnick, from NAMI, and from other major mental health organizations within Los Angeles and the country. We really felt the support and that across generations. I mean, we had like people from like boomers to like Gen Z, a
Yeah,
little of everyone really coming together for this shared goal to talk about mental health and to
yeah,
start this dialogue and to have like resources as well, because we do have a lot of amazing resources at UCLA, but there are other places that you can get help.
yeah,
And that was another major reason we wanted to put together that event to promote awareness about what's available. So that was really amazing to see and to create that change. And following that, students can only do so much.
yeah,
There's a lot of us. I think there's around like 30,000 undergraduate students at
yeah.
UCLA, so very, very big school. But following that, UCLA Student Affairs actually started a mental health awareness campaign, which was beautiful to see. I feel like it's very timely. It's very important to be talking about this. So they started a suicide prevention committee, which I serve as an undergraduate representative on. But we have clinicians from CAPS, mental health professionals from our local psychiatric hospital, and we'll get together around every 2 weeks to provide updates and see what real changes can we make for the university and greater LA community to make a difference in youth and young adult mental health. So it's really, I'm honestly really grateful that UCLA is taking the steps to create necessary change and to create changes in our campus culture. So it's been interesting to get that data, especially from the clinicians, from these professionals who've had decades of experience,
Yeah.
but also taking into account student voices and student experiences. Because again, I serve as one of the undergraduate representatives, and I can also touch on this a little bit later, but I'm a nursing student at UCLA. So I've worked particularly in the psychiatric setting and in our local psychiatric hospital many, many times. And I've spent many months there. So I've seen a lot. So it's been interesting to have that simultaneous experience of one, being a student, and two, being in the clinical setting, being in the hospital, being an advocate. So I feel like that kind of gives me a little bit more of a holistic
Hmm.
perspective to help shape and change the culture, especially from the student perspective, and amplify these voices. So that's been really interesting as well, and I'm excited to see how they continue with this. But if you're curious, the mental health awareness campaign is called Hope Connects Us,
Oh,
UCLA Hope
okay.
Connects Us. So they kind of just had their debut this year, but they're hoping to do a lot more major parts of their campaign for next year, and continuing this to really promote this, especially for incoming students. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to see how those changes are reflected.
I'm wondering, are you guys having the conversations though that a lot of what's happening is the pressure and the competition that
Yes.
is happening
Yes.
in
Yes. Yes.
and on
Yes.
those campuses,
Yes.
especially like UCLA?
Oh, that's something that I'm saying
Yeah.
all the time because
Okay,
I,
good.
like you said, we're at UCLA. It's an amazing school. It's such an honor. Both of us attended, and it's amazing. There's like actresses, actors,
Oh yeah, we
Olympians, like everyone is here. I'll be
yeah.
walking down the street and I'm like, oh, that looks like someone I used to see like on my favorite like childhood TV show. I'm like, wait, that's actually them. I'm like,
That's
oh my
I had that too.
God.
So at the time, just really
Yeah.
quickly, just to kind of
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
because
yeah.
it was really cool. So first of all, with actors, it was Danica McKellar who was Winnie Cooper on Wonder Years, and Wonder Years was like
No
a big
way.
deal. And it's funny because Winnie went or Danica was at UCLA. I got
Yeah.
to rush her, but she ended up at a different sorority. And then Fred Savage was like at USC. And then Mylan Balik. I never can pronounce her name correctly, but why am I blanking on her actual show? But she was on what you call it? The what is it? Big Bang Theory.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
But what was her show? Blossom. So at the time
Okay,
it was
yes. Yes, you
Blossom,
got
and she was
it.
there, and then Joey Lawrence, who was her co-partner, he was at USC, and then we had Jaleel, who was Urkel on Family Matters. So like we really had also like these like
A
mega
lot of
stars at the
A-listers. Yeah.
time, and then athletics wise, I was there the last time that men's basketball won the NCAA championship, and I knew all those guys. Like my neighbors at Saxon Suites was Charles O'Bannon and Cameron
No way.
Dollar, and then I knew Bob Myers and all those guys, and a lot of them would stay at my house when they would come to San Diego to go to like San Diego State Step events.
Yes.
But anyways, like I was among all these people, and you're just like, what in the world
Right?
is
You're just in
happening?
awe. You're looking around, you're like, I
Like,
go here? I go to the same
yeah,
school
you're
as
like,
you?
wow,
Like,
and
that's
these are, and
crazy.
yeah, so I can, and I know it's just always been like that. It's just
Yeah.
depending on what generation you're in, what's cool
Yeah.
at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's
That's
crazy.
funny.
Like right now, I'm in the same graduating class as August Maturo. He was in one of my favorite childhood shows from Disney Channel, Girl Meets World, with like Sabrina
Oh, he was
Carpenter
in
and
Girl
all
Me.
that.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. And we have like Olympians, of course, Jordan
I
Childs,
was gonna
Alyssa
say Jordan
Liu,
Childs,
like
is she
so many.
graduating this year?
Yes, yes, she
Okay, so
is.
then
She
she's, yeah,
is.
I
So
mean, obviously,
yeah, in
woo,
a crazy graduating class. Yeah. And I feel
amazing.
like it's so like honestly inspiring to like see that and be around that. But honestly, it's like a
Honest.
double-edged
Yeah, I
sword.
was gonna say,
And
but
you
it's
have that sense
also,
of comparison to
yeah,
say, like, oh my goodness, all of these people here are accomplishing amazing things. What am I doing? Am I behind? And I
yeah,
feel like there's that sense of internally it's like what am I doing, how
yeah.
did I get here, and it's almost like it's a bit of like what's the word for it,
I know.
imposter syndrome. It's a little bit of
Okay.
imposter
Which
syndrome.
at my age, I didn't know what that was, and I will say, and full
Mhm.
transparency,
Yeah.
that was one of the reasons why I was feeling the way I was feeling. I was feeling inadequate. I was feeling like I wasn't deserving, like I wasn't worthy. There was a level there of being in an environment like that that you're looking at yourself and you're going like, who am I to
Yeah.
be here, and what am I doing to give back, or what accomplishments am I doing? Like I was struggling with that as well. So that's why I asked, like, there has to be that conversation of, yes,
Absolutely.
you're in an amazing school and you want to honor that, right? You want to have the best of the
Yeah.
best, but at the same time, you have to acknowledge that being the best of the best and being around that can
Hmm.
really mess you up in so
It
many
can.
ways. And so how do you let the people know that, hey, you might not be an Olympic champion, or you might not be some crazy neuroscientist,
But you know
major,
what, you're
and
here, and I
but you're
think
here
that's
and you
what matters.
matter. Yeah, and
That's
you
what
are
matters. You were
special.
you were selected to be here. You are special and you deserve to be here. And the thing is, asking for help doesn't make you any less. I think that makes you stronger. That's working towards improving yourself so you can take care of yourself and be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that is something, a message that we've been trying to send across through this campaign and through our message, through our campaign, Hope Connects Us, is that asking for help isn't a weakness, especially with it being Male Mental Health Awareness Month. It doesn't matter your gender, your sexuality. Asking for help shows bravery, it shows strength, and it's important. It's important to do that.
Yeah.
And just sharing
Yeah.
that. And I think sharing your stories about getting help, about what that journey was like, can make a difference too. It makes it a little bit less intimidating. It humanizes that experience for other people to say, like, okay, like I can go to CAPS. Okay, I can go to
Yeah.
NAMI. Okay, I'm familiar with what might happen if I go there. And I have to share through my advocacy journey and mental health work, I would say the most meaningful part is hearing these stories. People reaching out and saying, oh, because you've been talking about this XYZ, I actually did go to XYZ. I know you don't know me, but XYZ. And that honestly means the world to me.
Yeah.
Just knowing that you could even impact just one person through sharing your story. It's not about going viral. It's not about,
Yeah.
I don't know, becoming famous, but really making a difference in one person's life. Because that
Yeah.
one person, that's a human being. Do you know how many people that person is going to affect? How many people that person could change other people's lives? It's really a ripple effect. So I
Yeah.
think that's what really keeps me going with my advocacy journey, and just hearing about these stories of that honesty and connectedness to, and openness really to reaching out and to maybe going to therapy, to talking to your friends for the first time about your experience with mental health. I think that is really the major thing that keeps me going.
Yeah. I mean, it's really crazy for me to think that when I went through what I went through, had you said to me, "Oh, one day you're actually going to take this experience that you are ashamed of, that you are afraid to talk to people about, that you're going to take this and you are literally going to do something that is
Yeah.
going to then define your purpose and
Yes.
is going
Yeah.
to be a way that you get to finally give back
Yeah.
and you get to finally make an impact." All of the things that I felt in that moment that I would never do. And I mean, granted, you're young, so you're not going to necessarily do all those things at that age. You know, obviously hindsight is 2020, but for me acknowledging that I took something that was the one of the darkest, times of my life and happiest too, because UCLA, like I said, just the people I knew and the sorority I was in, and like it really was a fun school. But it's like it was both for me. But then to look back and then to see what I'm doing now, I recognize that sometimes you just have no idea what you're experiencing, of what your experience is going to do for you down the road. Like it's hard to explain, because for me it's just a very weird thing to be sitting here talking to all of you guys and knowing that so many of you are experiencing what I experienced, just the thoughts, not
Yeah.
suicidal thoughts, but just the insecurities, the imposter
Yeah.
syndrome, the, oh, no one understands me, or no one really is paying attention to me, or is anyone really listening to me? Does anyone really see me? All of those things
Mhm.
that you guys are all experiencing, I experienced it too. And so many other people did. And so that's where I feel like it's so important to talk about it,
It
because
is.
it's like everybody has an experience in some way of how they felt less than. I promise you, even the people that might seem like they have the most confidence, they always, there was a moment, I'm sure, that they felt like, what the
Yeah. A
heck?
moment of doubt.
Yeah. And so we all have it. So it
Absolutely.
just still is very interesting that we still are very much like scared to talk about it, and we feel like we're the only ones. Like it's a weird phenomenon to
It
be
is.
to be honest.
It is. And that's another thing that I wanted to touch on, especially with my friend. outwardly being well connected, very
Yeah.
happy, and that kind of thing. I feel like I'm not sure if you're probably familiar with the term smiling depression is so
I am not actually.
I feel like that's another thing that I've been trying to share with people. Smiling depression with just that mask.
Oh my
You
God, that
have
was
this
me.
cheerful facade, and it's not like an official diagnosis. It's not
No,
like a clinical term,
but it like you
but
saying
it
it,
gives a
like people
name.
know
It
what
gives
it
a name
means.
to
Like all
it.
you
Yeah.
just have to say smiling depression, you're like, I know what you're talking about.
Yes, yes. Because it can be so easy to put on this mask to hide your symptoms and to hide what's really going on, like what I was saying with the how are you thing. And it can be emotionally exhausting, and outwardly you look very accomplished, I mean educated. If you're going to UCLA, going to an amazing university, in a lot of clubs, doing well, very social, but with that presentation, and if you're not sharing those feelings, it's like you're hiding behind like a wall. It can be like hiding behind a closed door, honestly. And I feel like it's so important to talk about that, because you can have so much on your plate. You're taking a lot of really hard classes, you're around a lot of amazing people who are highly successful, and you also want to be highly successful, and you want to make the most of your experience, because 4 years it does go by pretty quickly.
Hmm.
So it's like you're racing against a clock. But I feel like it's so important to take the time to try to take off that mask, to show the reality of the college experience, because it's not always happy go lucky. It
Hmm.
really it can't always be that way.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's another reason why it's important to check on people, even if they appear really happy. Because
Yeah.
depression and suicidality doesn't always look like someone who's withdrawn, socially
Yeah.
isolated, not
Usually
meant.
it's a lot of those people, and we've seen a lot of online just kind of influencers, celebrities that people are like,
Yes,
wait, I never would have thought.
right?
And
Yeah.
a lot of times that's what it is, because you become really good at the smiling part of it. And I
Yes, you
became
do.
really good at it too. Like, even if I was in bed all day, like I was very good at being able to come up with an excuse for it. Or if I
Mhm.
didn't want to go out, because I had a lot of, I was starting to really withdraw socially. And so I really wasn't going out. And I was able to come up with excuses as well. Like, you get really good at this mask, at the excuses, at making it sound like it's not a big deal that you've slept all day and that you don't want to, be social, all of these things. And so that's where that's where I find there's that disconnect, where it's really hard for a lot of people to see the signs. But I think, like you said, the simple action of when you ask someone how they are, to just be able to be there and create that space for them, I think sometimes that's really what it takes, is to
Yeah.
just let people know that you're there to listen.
Yeah.
And I find that that's where it's difficult for people, because everybody's really rushed. Everybody's kind of like dealing with their own things. And so I feel that that's something that more and more people really need to think about, is the simple acts. It doesn't have to be something grandiose
No.
at all. And then just the conversations. But it's a
Yeah.
tough one, because
It is.
clearly everybody talks about it.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to bring awareness to it.
Yeah.
You get all these nonprofits doing it. You get
Mm-hmm.
everything happening, but yet we're still in this world where mental health is on the, just mental illness and just people feeling a
On
certain
the
type of
rise.
way is on the rise.
But there's still this stigma.
Yeah. So I guess, like you said, it just has to be the ripple effect, baby steps. It's better we do this than not. Um, but I'm hoping that there comes a point where people really recognize that we're all imperfect,
Yeah,
that we're all human,
absolutely.
that we all are going to go through like ups and downs,
Amen. Yes.
all of it. But
Yeah.
it's hard to let people or explain that to a lot of people that are in it. I
Mhm.
get that too. Like when you're in it and someone's trying to kind of like snap you out of it or trying to give you that, it sometimes just doesn't land. So I'm honest with that too. Of like if someone's really in it and they're not really taking what you say to heart, like that's okay too, as long as again they know that at least you're there, because that happens too.
Yeah,
Because a lot of people don't want
absolutely.
to hear it
Yeah.
when
And
they're
I
in it.
feel like, especially with this time of the year, it's been interesting because, like I said, I'm a nursing student with a
Yeah.
focus in psychiatry and mental health. And I've spent my last quarter, spring quarter, in the psychiatric hospital. I would go in around 3 times a week. And that was
Mm.
essentially the only class that we would have to do
Wow.
for our final quarter. So I chose to do the psychiatric hospital. Other people might have chose somewhere else, but that's
Yeah.
where I was. I was at the adult psychiatric hospital for my local university. And it was really interesting towards the end of the quarter. I did notice that there were a lot more college student admits across the board, not saying any particular university, but across the board.
Yeah.
Upperclassmen, I saw quite a rise
Wow.
with connections to final stress, graduation, and of course, like it's an exciting time, like
Yeah.
graduation, end of the school year, time for summer, but it's a lot of pressure. You have friends moving away, you have uncertainty maybe about jobs, about where you're going to be, what you're going to do, internships. So outwardly, again, it looks like a lot of people are happy, but there might be some folks who have this smiling depression.
Hmm.
So it's so important, and I really have been sharing this a lot, especially towards the end of the school year. Check in on your loved ones, check in on your friends, because again, it's exciting. You might be planning vacations
Hmm.
and stuff, but it's a lot of pressure. Like, oh, these finals are looking harder than I thought. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to pass that class. It's a lot of pressure. And seeing that firsthand as both a student and a future mental health professional has been very, very eye opening, and I really hope that it helps people to see the magnitude of how important this is. But it gives me hope because I do see quite a few people who bring themselves in because they
Yeah.
recognize that they need help beyond social support.
Yeah.
And not being afraid to take that step is also so important. I feel like it really does go hand in hand. Having that social support and connectedness, and if needed, seeking help from mental health professionals, because there are so many people that genuinely want to help you and care about you, and it can make a huge, huge difference in your life quality. So I feel like with both of those things, creating that honesty in both with your friends, with people that you trust in those safe spaces, but also being open to receiving professional help when it gets to a certain point, and also being as honest as you can about those experiences with these professionals who want to help you. So it's been really interesting to kind of see that student side, advocacy side, but also that clinical side, that
Hmm.
hospital side at the same time.
Yeah. I feel like also something to point out, like, when you do check on your loved ones, do it in a way where it's almost like you're automatically like trying to create a space for them to kind of share in the
Yes,
way,
their
because
truth.
yeah, because, yes, everybody, college graduation, all of these things, you can reach out and be like, "Oh my gosh, you're going to graduate. That's amazing. Da 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 da," which is great, but maybe be like, "Oh my gosh, this is probably such like a weird, difficult time for you," or
Right?
"Gosh, you must be experiencing so many different feelings and emotions." A, like try to reach out to them in a way that you're letting them know, like, hey, I also know that this is also a difficult time, in
Mhm.
so many ways, because yes, you're friends, you're moving on. Some people have this, like fear of, am I going to find a job? Like there's a lot of things that are happening,
There
so I feel
are
like it's
a lot of
acknowledging
things on.
too
Yeah.
that, yeah, they need the encouragement, but I think at the same time they need to know that, wow, okay, this person is saying these things in a way that is making me feel like I
There's
can
room
be
for
honest.
honesty.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I could kind of share like, yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. This is like what's actually going on.
Mhm.
So I feel like you again, it goes both ways. The party that's asking the questions, that's reaching out, like take responsibility in that moment of like, hey, I can be someone that really helps. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so I feel like a lot of times we talk about what people can do, but it's the people that are doing it. We also have to let them know, like, hey, maybe this is how or maybe this would be a good suggestion of how to do it. Or, and I say that only because I have experienced it. So I put myself in that position and I go, if I'm in that position, how would I want to be addressed? How would
Mm.
I want someone to speak to me?
Yeah.
Like I
Put
will,
yourself in
yeah,
those
like I
shoes.
will be honest. When my parents try to give me advice and say, like, oh, well, this, or when I was your age, I'm sorry, but that does, if anything, I shut down.
Mm.
And I noticed that my own kids were doing that with me in the beginning. Like when I wasn't, before I was doing this podcast, before I was actually speaking with all of you and really listening, before all of that, I was guilty of being that parent that was like, oh, well, when I was young, or oh my gosh, like just get over it. Like typical things that someone would say in those moments. And I recognized, like, wait, my kids aren't really opening up to me. They're shutting down, they're kind of annoyed by me. They don't want to talk to me. And then as soon as I started talking to all of you and recognizing and then tapping into, wait, Raquel, you feel the same way when your parents start acting
Mhm.
that way. So what makes you think that your kids are going to think any differently of you? So it's that self-awareness, that
Yeah.
self-reflection,
Yes.
that's when I changed. And now it's my kids and I have a completely different relationship for the better. And so that's why I try to be like really real about it. Like,
Yeah.
okay, we can say these things, but like
We
when it comes
can.
down to it, like it's not that easy. So yeah, I think there's everybody has to learn.
Absolutely. And I feel like I love using social media for these changes, especially with my generation.
Yeah.
Social media is one of the major modes of
I mean,
communication.
yeah, that's the
I feel like
reality.
there's a lot of area for honesty. So something that I've been doing and I've been telling other people about is using the close friends feature on Instagram.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Every Friday, I do something called Close Friends Friday, where I'll
Okay.
ask, what was your rose, bud, and thorn of the week?
Oh, I like
Rose, what
that.
was your highlight? What was something that made you really excited and happy? Bud, what is something you're looking forward to in the future coming up? And thorn, what was something that wasn't so good? What was something that put a little bit of a damper on your week?
Yeah.
And by doing that, I've had more honest conversations with some of my friends that
Nice.
maybe they wouldn't have shared before if I didn't specifically
Yeah.
ask, what is your rose, bud, and thorn of the week? And creating that consistency and shared space and not like putting it on your public story, asking the whole world,
Yeah.
but asking a select group of people who you are close to and you genuinely want to check in on
Yeah.
has honestly helped me to create a little bit more of a closer
That's a good
community, and it
idea. I
allows me
like that.
to check in a little bit more, for my friends to check in a little bit more on me. So that's something that I've been trying to do to kind of reframe social media into a way to connect and create room for honesty, because like I said, it is such a huge mode of communication, of talking to people, but it can also be a major mode of creating these spaces for honesty.
Yeah. And honesty is so important. And that's where the trust, is built. And so that's why I do um kind of tell adults, or especially parents, because with what you said is good with social media, also some of the negative is that you do have a lot of fake stuff and information out there. So then I tell parents and just older generations, like that's also where we have to step in and try to be as truthful and honest as well, like with the information, because that's kind of what's happening as well. Is I think a lot of you don't really know if someone's being honest.
Yeah,
Um, and so that's another thing too, that it's hard as
it
well.
is. It
But you're
is.
creating if I love that you're creating that with your friends, and it's little things like that, and
Right?
maybe someone will take that idea and run with it too, because I think
Yeah.
it's great just to, yeah, use the close friends stories to really ask those questions, and start
Hmm.
that dialogue, because yeah, sometimes it's hard to text everyone.
Right?
But if
It
you do it
is.
there, it's already in a group. Yeah, no, I absolutely love what you're doing. So then once you graduate, like, are you going to continue to be active with UCLA? Like, what's your
Yes.
plan
Yes.
after you graduate?
So planning to pursue a career as a psychiatric nurse. So planning to stay in the LA community with that and continue my advocacy work with NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness. I actually did just go to their NAMI Con a couple weeks ago in Atlanta, Georgia, first time over there. And it was so amazing to be there around so many clinicians,
Is that
professionals.
where you received your award?
Oh, yes, yes, it is.
Nice. Okay.
Yes, and it was just a beautiful melting pot of ideas, and it was amazing to see what people are doing in different regions. Of
Yeah.
course, I'm on the West Coast, based in LA, California, but it was cool to see what people are doing in the East Coast, what people are doing in the South. And I could see a little bit of overlap, but I could also see some slight cultural differences in what works
Oh
and what
yeah.
doesn't. So I thought that was really neat to see and to really come together for this shared goal of mental health awareness of these lived experiences. And it was honestly really such a beautiful experience to be there. I'm really, really grateful that I was able to meet so many incredible people and representatives from NAMI. I met the CEO of
Oh
NAMI, and that was
wow.
really awesome to talk to him.
Where
We
are they? Are
chatted
they
about
based out of that
UCLA.
area? Is that why it was out
I
there?
believe they're based out of Virginia, but they choose a different location for
Okay.
their convention every year. It's an annual
Okay,
thing.
Virginia, interesting. Since I lived there for
Yes.
24 years, I'm trying to think like where they would be. Okay, I'm gonna have to figure
Yes.
that out.
But it was so cool to be there, and especially with a lot of young people
Oh
and a
yeah.
lot of young voices that are making real changes. Like I talked to some people who are international mental health advocates
Wow.
and really trying to shift these conversations in other countries and continents, because like I said, right now I'm focused on UCLA, LA, California, but there is room for improvement across the
Oh,
board,
absolutely.
across the world. And I believe that with these shared voices and these shared goals, we really can create that change.
Yeah.
It might need more than one person, but with a community, you can do more than you can ever imagine, honestly. And I feel like that's something that I've definitely seen throughout my advocacy work, is that you don't know who you're going to impact and what ripple effect that is going to have. And that's one of the most amazing parts about this.
Yeah, I do believe that your generation just really is going to make huge strides in so many different ways. Like you guys just, with the technology, with AI in a positive way, with all the information that you have access to, and just this self awareness and this wanting to just do good and give back to the community. Like I truly believe that you guys are going to make such a difference, in so many ways. Like I get really excited and hopeful about it. I know some people have a different take on it and might think differently, but you can't, define an entire generation. Everybody's different, but I do feel that the majority, at least the people that I've spoken to and have on my podcast and in the film and just who I interact with on a daily basis, like it just gives me hope.
Yeah,
Really, it does.
yeah.
And I want
And
other
it all
people,
starts with that.
yeah,
It all starts
yeah,
with
exactly. And so I do tell people, do not take their hope away from them. Do not strip it from them. You
no,
might not have hope, but that's like it's not your job to try to,
to dictate that.
negate like what they're feeling, like because you were a kid once, and I'm sure if someone was telling you differently, I'm sure you wouldn't be happy about it either. Like, you know, so be quiet. If
Mhm.
you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. Like sometimes I get just so frustrated too because I had like a pretty heated discussion with someone I knew, and he was a
Mm,
millennial. And
wow.
he just was like, they just need to go and flip burgers. They just need to do this. They just need to do that. And I'm like, dude, it's not that simple. Like,
No.
stop. God, I was finally, I'm like, we need to end this conversation because we're getting nowhere. I was like, but yeah, there's some people that have very strong opinions about the youth.
Yes. There are. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but I want to be the voice of positivity in a g-
And thank you for
and
doing
and reality too. Like we're being realistic. Like,
Yes.
obviously this
Yes.
conversation, but at the same time, like, hope.
Yeah.
Again, make it
Oh,
into a positive. So,
yeah.
well, I absolutely love what you're doing. You really are just such a light.
Thank
And I
you.
am so grateful that we cross paths. I love that I like get to watch your journey now that we're on Instagram
Yes.
together and LinkedIn. Like, that's another positive, is that I get to, witness what all of you guys are doing. And obviously I want to support in any way I can, and just really excited for you and just your future and all the things that you have going for you. But at the same time, like, I understand it's a lot.
It is.
So, I'm here for also those times that
Mhm.
people need to talk. I have had a couple Gen Zers in the past reach out to me just needing someone to talk to, just a voice, because they themselves were starting to experience a lot of
Mhm.
pressure and stress. So, yeah, I want all of you to know too that I'm here for you in that capacity as well, for sure, being someone that has experienced that. So,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
thank you for having me. It's been an amazing experience. And thank you for creating this dialogue and this opportunity to amplify the voices of my generation. It's been so amazing to watch these videos and to see that journey. So I want to sincerely thank you. Thank you for everything.
Well, thank you. It's nice to know that there was a reason why I was spared that evening. Like, I truly and now understand, that's what I was meant to do. So thanks again for coming
Thank
on.
you. Thank you so much.